I am.
Hi, Soul to Sisterhood family. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Thankful Thursday interview series. This one's going to be a Wednesday Wisdom interview series. I'm posting it a day early. And I can't wait for you to meet our next sister goddess. Nisla is who's with us today, and Nisla is one of the 38 featured goddesses in our Soul to Sisterhood book, featured in the 36 chapters. And as I was thinking today about how I wanted to introduce Nisla to all of you, and probably a lot of you already know her. If you do, consider yourself lucky. If you don't, get on that. But Nisla and I, over probably the past 3 to 4 years, we've had opportunities to have some pretty intense conversations about some pretty important and potent topics. And one thing that Nisla always teaches me, I always take this away whenever we're together, is that she approaches things in such a calm, compassionate way. I can tend to get really fired up about stuff, and Nisla just has this way about her of approaching a topic with compassion and empathy, and just a desire to find out what somebody else's experience is, where they're coming from. And that is such a gift for all of us to be able to witness and to be inspired by. She also brings forth so much beautiful wisdom in her Soul to Sisterhood story. So from one soul sister to another, I humbly introduce you to Nisla. Hey, sweetheart, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just hanging around the house today, doing chores and waiting for my son's next Zoom meeting for Taekwondo class.
I love your tapestry behind you.
Thank you. I'm sitting in my Zen space that my husband put together in our room, so we have a nice little area to relax away from the rest of the family.
It looks amazing. And I just have to say, it is not lost on me that the tapestry matches your tank top.
It's one of my favorite colors.
Right, we have to, we've got to dress for our environment.
Yep.
Well, Nisla, you are such an amazing spirit. I can't wait for our community to get to read your story in Soul to Sisterhood. But I'm so excited that we're able to do this interview today, because one of the things that is really resounding in your story is the theme of community. So I just want to kind of put that out there, especially for this initial question. You start your story saying that your journey of motherhood transformed you. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, well, I didn't think that I was going to be a mother. Motherhood actually chose me. So we made a conscious decision to wait for a while before having kids. And I don't know. It's definitely been a bringing me back to focusing on something other than myself, focusing on somebody other than myself, and tapping into the resources that I needed to give my children what they need, make sure their needs are met.
That's beautiful. Well, to bring forth this theme of community right now, you talk about, and I think the second or third sentence of your interview, that you know the unique incidences of your, I don't even think if I pronounced that right, the unique experiences, if you will, of your motherhood journey are yours, yet the collective experience is one of sisterhood. And that motherhood journey from the collective perspective has always given you that sense of community, that sense of sisterhood support. Can you kind of share with our listeners maybe a little bit more of what that's been like for you?
Wow. Where to begin? when you are a new mom, you look for other women, most women that I know, look for communities to figure out how is this going to go. When I was pregnant, I started finding mommy boards online and getting involved with these groups of women, like through Baby Central or things like that. And I found it like a due date group. And believe it or not, 20 years later, most of the women from that group are still friends, and we still have a private Facebook group keeping in contact. So having that community of women going through similar things at the same time, even if our choices weren't the same or our experiences weren't the same, we still needed that network of other mothers to connect with. And I don't know, it's just been something that I've craved in my journey, and I have found incredible healing with other women, with other mothers.
It's beautiful. I get this sense, and I should have said this at the beginning. I've always gotten this sense that you and I have been together in many other lifetimes, and that I love that sort of that ancient wisdom that's coming forth of how deeply we need one another, right? Mother to mother, sister to sister, woman to woman, that woman's heart, our woman's womb, that we are so intertwined and interlinked and interconnected. And if we can tap into that magic, right, how powerful and empowered we are.
I feel like I've felt for a long time that I'm part of something much bigger than myself, a literal birthing of this new earth energy, this new frequency of love that is coming in. And it's no accident that I've met the women that I've met along this journey. And to be a part of the Soul to Sisterhood journey has just reaffirmed the work that I've been doing on my own. You're doing the same thing, come in contact with other women along very similar paths. And it's like we keep saying, we want better for our kids. We want to fix this messed up world. We want to raise the next generation to heal these old wounds and break these old patterns. And we need each other. And we are collectively giving birth to this new frequency of love.
That's a beautiful way to describe it. Beautiful. Well, speaking of shifting out of old patterns, you talk about the awareness that you and your husband had, that you wanted to wait until you had your oldest daughter, until you felt like you'd really healed some things within yourselves.
Yeah, we made a conscious decision when we got married that we were going to wait to have children. We were going to wait until we knew that we were solid as a couple. We were both children of divorce. Our mothers had been divorced multiple times. We married multiple times. Lots of experiences that go along with that. And we didn't want any children that we would bring into the world to have to heal from the wounds that we have had to collectively heal from. And I'm fortunate that I've had him on this journey going through very much the same kind of healing process, making the same decisions and agreeing that we didn't want to continue these patterns. And this translates out into the collective of what we see going on into the world. We get very vocal about we need to break these patterns. This stops here. This stops with me.
Looks like that really hits a chord with you.
I feel like I have this genetic responsibility almost to make an impact, to share this innate truth that we are all part of something bigger. We are all connected. We are all one. And to eliminate this sense of division that we have amongst ourselves. You know, there's so much divisiveness that you see happening in media. Social media is the absolute opposite of that. And, you know, it's like, I think we need to really find a middle ground to heal these old patterns and stop them from repeating over and over and over ad nauseum. You know, I'm tired of seeing the same news cycles repeating themselves. I'm tired of hearing about children that have been abused, racism, murders, children being shot up in schools, any of this nonsense, watching our elected officials destroy our planet because of greed. You know, it stops here, now. I don't want to continue it anymore.
You know, one of the quotes you say in your story that really just has stuck with me is you say, guilt is just misplaced energy. And hearing you talk about really the breakdown of our systems that are showing themselves to be not of working order any longer, right? They're not effective. But do you feel maybe that a lot of what we're sensing and experiencing is that misplaced energy manifesting itself as guilt and shame, humiliation, maybe self-hatred?
It's a lot of that, but it's also a lot of fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of death, fear of a perceived other. Yeah, I think a lot of it is fear, but I do think it is guilt, misplaced for sure. You know, genetic, generational guilt. Like, for example, you know, your mother's mother's mother was a victim of some sort of abuse. She passes that wound on to her daughter, who subconsciously passes it on to her daughter, who subconsciously passes it on to hers. And you just keep perpetuating these same feelings of guilt or dissatisfaction with yourself, or, you know, there's something that is deep inside me that is, I'm not good enough. And you don't know where it's coming from. But the reality of it is, it's not your stuff. It's ancient. It's been passed down. It's not your fault. And yeah, it's a lot of misguided energy. That's all.
And you talk about this in your story, that because of some certain life circumstances, that misguided energy really brought you to almost a breaking point. Yeah, can you talk about what was going on for you then?
After my son was born, he was kind of a surprise, which is a happy surprise. But after he was born, a lot of things happened, and we ended up having to sell our house on a short sale and move from one state to another to be closer to family. And we ended up here in Sarasota. And it was this sense of everything has just fallen apart. My world is crashing down. I've lost my house. I have no job because I'm home taking care of this child. He had a vaccine injury at 4 months that caused him to have some developmental delays, and he's fine now. But it was really terrifying. I couldn't work, and so my husband found a job, went back into a job that was the field that he had trained in, but it was one that had almost killed him before. And he took the job just to pay the bills job. And I felt like I was all alone with a teenager, well, almost teenager, and a newborn who had some issues. And I felt like the world would be better off without us, me and the baby anyway. And I decided one day to drive us off a bridge. Thankfully, I didn't. I remembered at the moment that happened that I was feeling that. I remember a woman at the pediatrician's office telling me about 40 carats and saying, you need to go there if you're ever feeling like you need to be with people. And I'm sitting in this couch, this place, and I'm feeling like I can do this. So yeah, suicidal thoughts are not a joke. They were an act of desperation, but I didn't act on it. And through the help of wonderful support groups, I learned that it was just thought, not reality. And that I had this incredible network of people to support me if I just asked. And I asked, and I found support, and subsequently found you. And here I am.
Nisla, thank you so much for being so honest and transparent. I know it's not easy to think back to those days. However, your courage in being authentic with what was really going on instead of trying to gloss it up, which is what I think we all kind of fall into the trap of sometimes thinking really more what's going to be acceptable or what somebody wants to hear versus what we're really feeling. Just sharing from that perspective now and in your story, it's going to help so many. Because I know I have felt like that too. And just knowing that somebody else is out there who is courageous enough to put the words out and say, you are not alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is that sense of community that you so wisely talk about, that you were given the opportunity to ask and receive that love from your community. So thank you for
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're so lucky here to have such amazing support groups, amazing support network of women that are, like you said, we sit around and share stories and listen to another woman's story and think, wow, and I thought my stuff was bad. It was like, if she survived that, I got it. I'm okay. And women are warriors. We're badasses. And this is cool shit.
Here, here. I've got a drink to that. Who am I? Oh, I'm Ravenclaw this week. Ravenclaw. Ravenclaw last week. No, I hear you. I want to clarify for some of our viewers who aren't Sarasota-based, the family center that the woman in your pediatrician's office told you to go to is a very unique place that we are lucky enough to have here in Sarasota called the 40 Carats Family Center. And this place is really just a gift to our community. And they have a family room where you can go in and sit. It's just a really special and unique place. And that was where you landed that day. And then I feel like we have to give props to the Postpartum Society of Florida, because that's where you were initially referred, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They had, the meeting was meeting at 40 Carats, and the first day of the meeting, it was just me and Sarah. And it was, she had her baby, I had my baby, and it was like, okay, we can really talk. And I didn't have other women there at that moment to get my stuff lost. So I think that first introduction to her and her society was the way it was supposed to be. But then I started going to her meetings regularly and meeting some really incredible women in this community, all feeling the same feelings that I was feeling. And it blew my mind that there were so many women who had had those thoughts and chose not to act on them. Just grateful, really, really grateful.
Nisla, can you give words to what that sense of relief was like for you to sit in a group and hear other women do what you so wisely talk about in the beginning of your story, basically share the collective experience of womanhood, motherhood, sisterhood? What was it like to hear through that lens?
Well, to really realize that we are truly not alone, that when we think, I'm the only person who goes through this, I'm the only person that feels this way, it's not true. There are millions of other women who are right now feeling those very same feelings. And unfortunately, some women act on them. And they end up not only killing themselves, but their babies. And it's tragic and it's horrible. And there's not enough attention being brought to postpartum distress and postpartum, well, depression is one thing, but the suicidal ideation and the feeling of desperation. And there's not been, typically in our society, there's not been enough of a support network for a lot of these women. And to have this pocket here in Sarasota with Sarah's Postpartum Society and 40 Carats, where they support the family, they support the mother. And Sarah's going into the hospitals and giving out literature and meeting women and doing just amazing, amazing work. And we just need to bring the attention to the lack of sisterhood that our society has sort of forced women into. And as women, we need that sisterhood. We need that tent of women to be away from the men and the boys, the older boys, and to raise the younger children together as a community and to support each other through the hard times and help the families. We have lost that as a society. And I think, as we've talked about before, we're part of bringing that back, bringing that magic back to this world, birthing this love.
Nisla, love watching your energy just vibrate when you talk about this, rebirthing this new frequency of love. And you're right. That's exactly what we're doing. And we're doing it together.
Yes, sister, we are. I'm so grateful for you, for the sisterhood, for this work is so important. And I hope that this project will translate out into the rest of the country and the rest of the world, and that more pockets of women will, I think they are, come together to birth each other as well as our babies.
Gosh, what a beautiful image. Giving birth to each other and ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to highlight Sarah and her work. So who we're speaking of is Sarah Ciccone. And she has started and runs and facilitates the Sarasota Postpartum Society of Florida, the groups here in Sarasota. Now, this is a national organization, and Sarah offers so many ways to seek information, community, and support. So there's an in-person group that meets in Sarasota. There's a sister to sister warm line that if you're not local or if you just can't make it to a group, you have a trained sister volunteer who's gone through training, but who's also experienced postpartum distress. And they'll get in touch with you via any platform that you can handle: texting, phone calls, emails, what we're doing, Zoom, and there, I'm sure I'm forgetting very specific things. Nisla, if you can think of anything, chime in. But what I'll do is in the comments section of our video, I'll post that website. And there's also a Facebook group that Sarah runs. So, I mean, she really is just such a beautiful embodiment of this sister to sister support, especially when it comes to her chosen niche of expertise, which is postpartum distress. So
she really is a gift. She was a true gift to me, and she's a gift to so many other women and their babies and their families. And we need more women like her. And I also have to say that it was through her that I met you, Jamie. So, and I'm grateful for that as well.
So am I. So am I. Was that 4 years ago that happened? Or
that was at the hospital in Bradenton at Lakewood Ranch.
Great. That had to have been 5 or 6 years ago, that first group that I facilitated for Sarah when she was out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Yeah. My son was maybe 2. He's 7 now.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, yeah, it was. I went diligently, religiously every week. I looked forward to those meetings. I feel like it saved my life in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Helped give me the encouragement to start doing my art again, like really taking time to paint and sketch and draw. And so now I'm like really trying to bring in drawing in the light, of my artwork. And that was something that Sarah had encouraged me to do. And she also encouraged me to get my massage license reinstated in Florida so that I could go back to work as a massage therapist. And I have been doing that now, and I'm helping heal people on a different level, one-on-one.
Yes, you
Which
are.
It's a little frustrating right now with this whole pandemic thing, because I can't necessarily be one-on-one with a lot of people. Mm.
As a recipient of one of your original works of art, which is proudly displayed on my piano, how do some of our viewers find some of your work to take a look at?
I have a Facebook page. It's called Drawing in the Light. You can link to that if you want.
Okay. And also, I know we put it in your bio on the Soul to Sisterhood website, but to contact you for a very deeply healing, magical experience, tell us how we find you for that. You've got a website and an Instagram, or Facebook and an Instagram for your massage therapy business?
Facebook and Instagram. It's Magic Hands, MAGICKHANDS.
Yeah.
And Magic Hands. One of my clients years ago said, "You have magic hands," and it stuck. And I like the spelling with a CK, not just a C.
That's how I like to spell magic, like that too. Mm-hmm. Well, Nisla, in closing, first I want to say thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for letting me get to know your beautiful family. Thank you for supporting me in so many ways that you probably don't even realize. But I am so grateful to you. Thank you for trusting me with your story, and thank you for being a part of this project. I am so excited for the manuscript to be done. And it's almost there. I am finishing up revising chapter 35 this afternoon, and then tomorrow's 36, and then hopefully it will be done. But more to come on that news later. But the last thing I want to say is that in your story, again, I'm quoting you directly, you say, "Share your story and trust that the right ears will hear it." So for women out there who have listened to our interview and who are feeling like some of the things that we've talked about resonate with them, or we're holding a mirror for them, what words of comfort can you offer them so that they feel like they're supported to share their stories?
Oh, I think just that you really don't know what somebody else is going through. And we need to learn to talk to listen, not to talk just to tell our stories. So if we take the time to share our stories with people, but then also stop and listen to their story, we'll find many similarities. I know several of these interviews that when I've watched them back, I've had the thought, it's like, wow, I went through that, or, oh, she went through that. Oh, I didn't know that that was the thing that other women had. Oh, wow, okay. It's just, this is big. This is really big. We all have stories. We need to not be afraid of our stories and not be afraid of our truth. And to not try to gloss over them and make them look pretty on the outside when they're not.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nisla.
Thank you.
I so appreciate you taking the time to do this interview today. Yeah, I'm feeling compelled to like interpretive dance right now because I just have words. Yeah. Oh my goodness. You know me, seldom am I at a loss for something to say, but I just am feeling connected in the bliss right now and just really super grateful. So thank you.
The energy is really, really, it's all present right now. I can feel our sisterhood around us right now. I can feel everybody's embrace, and I can feel all those groups that I sat through with you, where we all connected on that soul level, and we have our tribe.
That's right. Well,
And
sweetheart.
the tribe takes care of each other.
That's right, baby. The goddess in me recognizes the goddess in you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Love you.
Love you too.
All right. Thank you, sweetheart. And thank you, everybody, for taking the time to watch this amazing interview.